Episode 25, here we go. It's going to be a great weekend of college football. I know that there are some of you out there, the coffee of the gods is ready. It's flowing. We're good to go. We're firing off winners, and we are going to continue a really good thing. I'm Dan Mathews. He, of course, is Matt Maltepes. He is the animal, Dan Mathews and the Animals. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Do all of those things. We appreciate it very much. The College Kids channel on YouTube is the way that you can catch the show. And we come to you every Tuesday and Thursday. And we get you ready for the weekend that is ahead. Matt Maltepes, how are we feeling before we even get into the games? Are we feeling like this is going to be a huge weekend for us?
I'm feeling good, man. I feel good every week because I know, we do our research, we do our, handicapping, and we put in the work, and we put in sometimes 16-hour days, 18-hour days, especially, things like March Madness, crazy times, March Madness. But yeah, it's par for the course, man. We just keep on going, and we've been winning. So no complaints here. Everything's good. Life's beautiful. Every day's a good day. So.
There we go. There we go. You know that for sure. All right, let's get into some of the good games we're going to have this weekend. We're breaking down 4 of them today. We're breaking down Texas, Iowa State, Clemson-North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and then we're going to close it out with the one that a lot of people are going to be watching on Saturday night. That is, of course, Washington at Oregon State. Surprising line on that one. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes. Let's start first with Texas, Iowa State. Horns on the road, a 7.5-point favorite. A lot of teams still alive for the Big 12 championship. And for Texas, they're the Big 12's last hope to be able to make the college football playoffs. So a lot rides on the line for this one. Like I said, a little bit over a touchdown favorite for them. If you want to go Cyclones, if you're feeling a little bit froggy, you think that Matt Campbell and the Cyclones can pull off the upset there, the money line is plus 247, so maybe that's enough to entice you there. And the over-under for this one is 47. Matt, before you even get into this one, Jonathan Brooks, the leading rusher for University of Texas, he is out as he tore his ACL in the last game. But how are you seeing this one breaking down?
So yeah, Texas 4-5-1 against the spread. Iowa State 6-4 against the spread. But when you take a look at the common opponents, Texas not only has a better record, but they have a better margin of victory against those opponents by a wide margin. When we look at those teams in the seconds per play metric, this is by far the slowest team that Texas has played thus far. There's only one team that's as close as this team, as Iowa State, and that's Wyoming. And that Texas-Wyoming game ended with a combined score of 41. The total for this game, as you just talked about, is 47 around. So, not only that, but, this is also the second best defense that Texas will have faced all year long, with only Alabama ranking higher, the opponent yards per play metric. And there's nothing really that I love in this game, but if I was forced to pick, I'd have to go with the under 47 in this one.
Yeah, I like that play too. Because this is an Iowa State offense that doesn't necessarily look like it can put up a ton of points. And Texas, going to have to rely even more on the part of the offense that I think they really believed coming into the season they were going to have to rely on the most. That's the passing game. Quinn Ewers there, Jordan Whittington, Xavier Worthy, as well as A.D. Mitchell being a huge part of that passing attack, and Jatavian Sanders as well, tight end. Another player that they really feel like they can count on. And you mentioned that Alabama game. That's what won them that game, is being able to hit those downfield throws and being able to kind of stretch that Bama defense. So I would probably have to guess we're going to see a steady diet of those as well. Haven't seen the weather for this one. Didn't do that much of the research for it, but I'm with you. I like the under in this one. As this could be a game that maybe Iowa State tries to slow them down a little bit. And it's, a 21-17 variety is how you get out of this one. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I'm with you. I like the under as the play as well. All right, the upstart Clemson Tigers. It only took Tyler from Spartanburg to call Dabo and complain about his salary. And, the Tigers ever since then have just been an absolute changed football team. And maybe that rallied the guys a little bit to be able to turn things around of saying, hey, man, look, if people are coming for our head coach that's won 2 national titles, We got to keep them here. We got to do our best. And Clemson for this one, a 6.5-point favorite. I know a lot of people really liking Clemson for this one, but if you're feeling like Mac Brown's team can be able to pull off the upset in this one, the money line is a little bit more enticing. I think a little bit more value than that Iowa State money line. It's plus 210 for North Carolina. So battle of the quarterbacks. If you feel like Drake May has got the upper hand over Cade Klubnik, maybe that's your play. The over-under for this one is 59.5. Matt, how are you looking at it?
So yeah, UNC 6-4 against the spread with a 14.4 point margin of victory. Meanwhile, Clemson's 4-6 against the spread, not as good, with only a 9.1 point margin of victory. However, Clemson has had a tougher strength of schedule when we look at the opponents. I mean, when going up against common opponents, Tar Heels, though, they have fared better going 3-1 against common opponents. Both teams are a little more pass-heavy than run-heavy teams when we look at the passing play percentages. And, when we look at which team's more suited to stop the pass, I'd have to say it's Clemson. They're ranked number 4 in the nation in opponent yards per completion. This is by far the best defense that UNC will have faced all year, coming in ranked number 8 in the opponent yards per play metric. On top of all of that, UNC is coming off a double OT win, which will make the task of going to Pickens County against a top-tier defense even harder. I mean, Clemson, they've been amazing at home, while North Carolina is only 1-1 on the road this year. I'm kind of leaning the Tigers in this one. I haven't bet it, but 6 does look a little appetizing. I'm going to let this one marinate a little bit, and then I'll make a decision on that one.
Yeah, I mean, this has been kind of a thing for North Carolina in certain games this season where, it's been games like this. It has been where they have tripped up and fallen. And for this one, I mean, yeah, maybe that is a wait and see. Because, some people might say, oh, a point. Well, I mean, no, that's a huge thing. I mean, say, it goes even up to 7. And if, Clemson wins this one by 6, well, then you lose that one. So, no, it probably does seem like very much a wait and see line. All right, let's go Georgia, Tennessee for this one. Now, in terms of the overall, I think I had mentioned on Tuesday still for the SEC East. That's not true. The SEC championship game is set. It's going to be Georgia and Alabama. It's kind of what people are looking at right now as kind of a pseudo winner leaves town, or winner goes on, loser leaves town in terms of the college football playoff in that regard. Now we'll have to see what happens the next couple of weeks with Oregon State and Washington, which we'll cover here in just a few minutes. And then the following week, too, the in-state battle between Oregon and Oregon State. I know a lot of people are Oregon State Beaver fans right now, trying to hope that the team there up in the Northwest can be able to unseat the other 2 teams, because that opens up a lot of things when it comes to the college football playoff, if that is the case. But the newly minted number 1 team in the country, a lot of people thought they should have been number 1 all along in the college football playoff rankings. Georgia, a minus 10 play in this one. They are favored by 10. Tennessee on the money line is plus 325. Now, let me, before I get to the over-under here, just say maybe why that's appetizing, because I think for Tennessee, there is nobody they hate more than the team from Athens, Georgia. I mean, some people might think it's Alabama. I think in recent years, it's become Georgia in that regard. In Tennessee, I guarantee you that is a rallying cry very much right now of saying, hey, let's ruin their season. Let's send them to a New Year's Six bowl game and throw off the chance of them being able to three-peat for a college football playoff national championship. So they're going to be a motivated bunch for this one, but it also, too, buyer beware, kind of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. These are the games that Kirby Smart seems to have his teams up for, of saying they want to ruin your dinner. They want to make sure they throw your party out the window. He is a master in terms of getting his teams up for games like this. Neyland Stadium's a tough place to play. I have thrown all of that into the gumbo. Take with that what you will, but the over-under for this one is 58. How are you seeing this one shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible they try to play spoiler. They're definitely going to try. But I think this Tennessee team, they're a little weaker. When they versus tough competition, I think they've shown their true colors. We saw their losses against Florida, Alabama, Missouri, the 3 tougher teams, all double-digit losses. I think the same happens this week with Georgia. I do not think that 10 is enough. Georgia definitely is catching some stride right now, and I do understand that the Volunteers are home, but they had trouble against Kentucky and Texas A&M at home. as well. It's not like they won those games convincingly. So I like Georgia minus the 10 here. I actually am leaning first half, minus 5.5. I don't think that's a bad play. I haven't touched the first half, but I do like the 10. And if I can catch 9.5, I really do like that one.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of all of that too, Matt, I really like the over in this one because, I mean, Tennessee, they're going to throw the kitchen sink in the first half. I mean, I think they are trying to have kind of a first half like they had against Alabama, where it looked like, boy, 2 years in a row they're going to get Bama. And then Bama did what Bama does, and they said, exactly, the Lee Corso line, not so fast, my friend. We are coming for the second half. The third and fourth quarter are ours. And Georgia has been that team that's been able to do that to teams as well. Physically tough, just being able to find a way to wear you down. And Kendall Milton, too. I mean, he's another one, too, to keep an eye on. We mentioned it when we talked about the Georgia Ole Miss game on Tuesday. He had a huge game in that one. He and Dejon Edwards look like they are creating quite a tandem there in the backfield, which some people wondered what was going to happen once Branson Robinson went down for the season. So you're right. I mean, and I've said it numerous times into this microphone and any microphone I can when it comes to Georgia. This is the time of the year when Georgia plays their best football. And offensively, they seem like they're really on a roll right now. And defensively, too, I think they're kind of catching their legs. I think they had a little bit of an adjustment at the beginning of the season of saying, wait a minute, where's Jalen Carter? Where's, a lot of the defensive linemen that made us what we are? And that group up there up front that is coached by Trey Scott is finally really starting to control the line of scrimmage. So I like both of those plays. And I'm going to add my own here. I think the over hits in this one. And maybe a huge part of that is Georgia alone, because based off what they just did last week and the week before and the week before that, Georgia's putting up some points. Mike Bobo is opening things up on that offense, and Carson Beck is rewarding him for it. And, oh, yeah, last week we had a guy named Brock Bowers come back onto the field. He and Ladd McConkey making some plays. So I'm going to add that as my own play on that one, if I can, if that's allowed here. I don't,
of course,
I don't want to step on the animal's territory.
Let's keep on rolling. Let's keep on rolling, man.
I love it. So he gave you two, I gave you one. And if my one sucks, then come at me. Don't come at him. All right. Come at me. I'm the one that had that one right there.
We're all in this together, man.
You know it. All right, let's close things out by talking Oregon State and Washington. Like I said, so many implications on the line for this one. For Washington, they've got to win out. I mean, that is their chance. That is their only opportunity to be able to be the second Pac-12 team to make the college football playoff, because the first one was them with Jake Browning and crew back in 2015. So Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix and the crew trying to be college football playoff crashers. Again, the only way they can do that, they've got to win these next 3 games on their schedule, which is this one, the Apple Cup next week against Washington State, and then finally the Pac-12 championship out there in Vegas. But interesting enough, like I said, an interesting line for this one. If I had the graphic for it or an alert or something, I would throw it up there. The Beavers, DJ Uyunglele and crew, a 2-point favorite for this one. So I guess, the odds makers out there are saying Corvallis is going to be a tough place for Washington to be able to come in there and win this game. Huskies plus 117 on the money line, and the over-under for this one is 62.5. Both pretty good offenses in this one. We know what Washington is defensively. I think there's a lot of information to be able to try to break down there, Matt, and I'm going to let you try to do it.
Oregon State, they come into this game 6-4 against the spread with a, pretty good 17.4 margin of victory. Washington, a similar margin of victory, but they're 4-5 against the spread. Take a look at common opponents. Washington's 4-0 against those teams, while Oregon State's 3-1. However, Oregon State does have a higher margin of victory against those opponents, surprisingly enough. Washington's very pass-heavy team, coming in at 10th in pass percentage in the nation. And even though Oregon State's defense is more suited to stop the run, they still have a top 10 defensive line in sack percentage. So they're going to be coming after Michael Penix. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Beavers are a run-heavy offense, and Washington has had a little bit of trouble against the run, coming in ranked 83rd in the nation in opponent yards per rush. The Huskies have not played many run-heavy teams this year. The only run-heavy teams they have faced are Tulsa, Boise State, and Utah. And out of those teams, the only top-tier team would be Utah. And Utah, gave them a fight. Washington struggled mightily last week against them, letting up 28 first half points. Oregon State might give Washington some problems here. The line opened around a pick, and now it's Oregon State minus 2.5 about. So it seems like there's some people out there that share the same mindset as me. But the move I like the most here is the over 62, all the way to 63.5. I don't think either defense will make enough stops to keep this one under. So I really do like the over.
Yeah, and if you're an offensive fan, I mean, that is something that for the huge game of the weekend, it excites you even more. And, I'm with you on that. I think the over hits in this one. It's not to say anything about either defense. I think it just says more about the offenses that we're going to see in this game. So we'll see who that favors more in this one again. Oregon State, 2.5-point favorite for this one. So let's see how it all breaks down. So you like the over in that one. You also like dogs minus 10 for the game, 5.5 in the first half. I like the over in that one a lot. I think we're going to see a ton of points. For the Clemson-North Carolina game, you said if it gets down to 6, you would take Clemson on that number right there. So keep an eye on that. I think I'm with you on that. I think that's a wait and see play. And then we close it out with Texas and Iowa State. The under for that one, over under right now, at least for the way I have it, is 47. So we'll see how that all breaks down. Either way, it doesn't matter. But anyway, that's episode 25. Again, want to remind you all to tell your friends about us, like and subscribe, as every Tuesday and Thursday we come your way right here on Dan Mathews and the Animals, part of the College Kids channel on Twitter. So that is the way that you can catch us. He is powered by the coffee of the gods, and we are hopefully giving out winners to all of you. There it is again. You know it. It is the lifeblood of the operation here. That is how we make things happen. He's Matt Maltepes. I'm Dan Mathews. This has been another episode of Dan Mathews and the Animals. Good luck this weekend. We will talk to you next week.